I don't even need to see that. Like, you just had to pull this out without a logo on it, and I would have gone Maish Brothers. Firstly, because only Justin does spray designs like this, and every board I've ever had from Wedge has had a crazy bright luminescent spray. We spin it around, look at that artwork. I really love it. A lot of attention to detail going into these boards, and the Maishas don't do things like other people. They've learned from their dad back in the day. The factory's out in the middle of nowhere in the sugarcane in the hills of the south coast, and obviously they also produce Maish fins, which we're using on this season. And they decided to make what they thought was a mid-length for the south coast and for me. So it's going to be very interesting, to see Dylan surf this, because out of all of the boards, this one was really made for me. They looked at my weight, they looked at how I surf. They've made me a few boards in the past, and they made a board for me for the south coast in a mid-length. It's a 7.0. If I turn it like that though, just look at the girth through there. It has got so much girth, and it goes all the way up to here. So you can really get up on front of this board when you're paddling into hollow waves. The rail on the bottom, I mean, it's really hard for you guys to see, but I mean, just look through there. Like, it's got these mammoth channels that link up. There's no space. And then even on the rail here, the sharp comes all the way to here. The rail keeps going though. So super rolled, and it goes all the way through the bottom deck. And then just look at those fins. I call them Captain Humpback, because like Justin explained to me, they're the same as a whale fluke for cutting through the water. And for the bigger days, the little trailer at the back here, if I get a smaller day session, I'll pop that out probably. Advice from long-time Wedge team rider Andrew Rooster Langer: if you want to turn this thing, the foot's got to be right back here. You can't have your foot anywhere up front. So you've got to move around on this board in all likelihood. And my first session was at Big New Pier. And I did one big turn, and you'll see it, but it was almost like a 3-stager. I don't think a lot of people thought I was going to come out of that turn when I went into it. So I think it's a board you'll definitely want to spend some time on to learn the intricacies of where to be to do certain maneuvers. What has become apparent immediately on this board is that when you get in and these fins bite into a hollow section, the acceleration is immediate. And that's what you were expecting looking at it. I mean, if you look at this bottom contour, it is not a board made for flat Muizenberg waves. It's just not going to go. This is made for the south coast. This is made for freight train, point break, beach break waves that are throwing. It's got the paddle power to get you in. It is quite flat, but you'll see there's that little bit of upswing in the nose. Immediately off of my first session, I can tell you as well, is this is not a board you want to take off straight, drop to the bottom and hit a bottom turn. You want to get your rail in. You're looking down the line, you're looking for barrels, you're looking for big sections, and that is what this board wants. Of course, in the poly epoxy, which is the Maish's custom epoxy, and I've had a few of these. If you want an epoxy board, I don't think you can do much better as far as strength and performance is concerned. I've never snapped one, and handmade from start to finish by one family in one factory, from board to paint to epoxy to fins, everything done by hand and in that factory on the south coast. So Really stoked to have them on board for this season, and really amped to get this thing back in the water.
The Wedge by the Maish brothers. Super special board. You can see it was hand shaped with love. It's quite an interesting thing in the mix with putting the fins that they did on. It was based off the leading or trailing edge of a humpback whale fin. So we called the board aptly the Humpback, and surfing it felt like surfing a humpback whale in a good way. It had like all the grace and elegance of a whale and how a whale moves underwater. It was quite chunky, quite flat. It was by far the most challenging board for me to surf, but I think that's just testament to the thickness of it. But it was fast and it was surprisingly maneuverable for what it was.
What you taking out?
Where we started, we shall finish. not to smile with this board because the measures just kind of bring a bit of joy to the craft of surfboard manufacturer. Obviously supplying the fins for this season too. You just look at this paint job, that pretty much screams Justin Mash to me. He loves doing bright, buoyant, happy artwork. And if I turn it around, I mean, just look at that. It is a piece of art. Made in the poly epoxy, which is their version of the polystyrene blank with epoxy, and they're really, really solid surfboards. I've had a couple over the years. I don't think I've ever creased or broken one. And so I can, from that point of view, craftsmanship and workmanship is of a very high level. And I mean, they come from, the factory is in the Bundus on the south coast in amongst the sugarcane fields. And, you know, they've made surfboards there since his dad. So Gary Shaping, Jazzy does a lot of, you know, all of the other stuff. And it's a full family vibe. They've got Pumula Surf Camp as well. Haley, Justin's wife, runs that. And they're just a rad group of people and a rad family. So I was very excited when they wanted to come on board. And we were going to the south coast. We needed a south coast staple, and Wedge, I mean, that is the south coast. You see a Wedge, you just know it's from the south coast. While we're looking at the bottom deck here, this is a 7.0 pin mid-length. This is what the Maishas thought I would need as a mid-length on the south coast. Obviously, freight train rights, very hollow, walled-up waves. We didn't really get those conditions, unfortunately. If you just look through here, there's the deepest double concave channel straight into another massive channel with these flutes going off and the wing here, and the fin is literally just off the back of that wing, so the fin almost continues out the back of the board here. It's got the trailer. I tried it as a normal twin on the last session, and I mean the waves were a bit wonky and weird, and the board just wasn't feeling like it was enjoying the conditions. But I'm pretty sure leave the trailer in, it just helps with a bit of direction. He's also obviously made those crazy fins. I'll actually ask Ian just to grab them quickly. They're down there because we should show you the fins. They're pretty special as well. First session on this board was in Durban. Thank you, Hawkman. So I put these guys in. I mean, just look at that and wrap your head around it. The fin's got a little bit of a concave there too, and essentially modeled off a whale fluke. So I call them Captain Humpback fins. And I mean, these things are like razors. You definitely don't want to be in my way if I'm coming down the line at Mach 1 on this thing, because it will cut you. These fins are really fast. In that session in Durban, I mean, I thought I was coming out that one crazy barrel. I got clipped, but I traveled for so long inside that thing. It's one of the longest travels in like overhead barrels I've ever had. And this board just kept accelerating. I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to make this section easy. And I mean, eventually it just took the board from under my feet. Otherwise, I actually really believe I was going to come out of that thing. So it is fast. And I mean, that's what this board was made for. It is super chunky up front here for paddle power. And, you know, Dill had some nice waves on it too, and it went for him. But as he said, he couldn't even choose this board even if he wanted to, because you could see that the Maishas had built it for me. So it was a real custom. And basically, Scotty's, the first session, and Durban, I had a taste of what this board is capable of. It paddles like a dream. I can get in the waves super quickly and easily. It's not a board that you want to sort of tail drop in. You want to really get that rail into the wave and down the line. And as soon as it engages on that inside fin, you can just feel it starting to accelerate. With the big channels and the twin fin, it's not a board that you're going to go surf in flat waves or anything with bump on it. It's not what it's for. It's made for beaming hollow waves. That's what this thing's for. It is. It almost feels like those older sort of pipeline backdoor boards that the generation was surfing sort of in the late 80s, early 90s. A lot of volume up front for getting in, bit of lift in the nose, and then like a crazy, small tail so that it's a bit more responsive. And I mean, that's where you talk about the sort of the history and the heritage of Wedge and the Meishas, is they've got all those templates from back in the 60s and 70s from the old man, and I'm sure some of those templates were used on this thing. Step down rails. I mean, you can spend literally hours like just exploring all the little angles and nooks and crannies on this board. It really is a crazy surfboard. So I cannot wait to try this at Super Tubes. I think Supers is the kind of wave that's really going to allow this board's strengths to come out, and that you want to get in early and down the line. You want to have a board that accelerates with absolutely no problem, and the wall at Supers and that real sort of convex shape of the wave, I think, is going to suit this board really well. If you want to do turns, the foot's got to go right back here. I might actually even just get like a little tail kicker to put on this board, so I know exactly where to put the back foot for when I want to do turns. But other than that, this thing just wants to go fast, man. This is a Ricky Bobby board. It's Talladega Nights all day long. It just wants to go fast. It wants to charge barrels and big, hollow, heaving waves. And I think, if you are in South Africa or you're coming to South Africa and you want to order a custom board that is made from step one to finish by hand, by people who love their craft and really take pride in what they do, and you want something that's maybe a little bit different and that's gonna, be a special surfboard, I think the Meishas are people you need to talk to. Of course, they're also going to come with custom handmade fins, and Meish fins, geez, I mean, you're not going to do better than these. So the whole package for me is just a really cool thing, and when you get a Wedge, you're getting something that you're going to want to keep, and that you'll probably never sell. It's a board you'll keep for life. So I think awesome to have them on the show, and I was super stoked on this board. I'm still stoked on it. It's staying in my quiver, and I can't wait to surf it at Supers. This thing's gonna go XR. So amped. Well done, Meishas.